Hi everyone, Bandanner here, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to a deck build slash review video, which is for a deck I built for 1v1 games, or ranked. This was built with the help of Lathans, so many thanks to Lathans. As you'll know, he's one of the top players in the ranked, and in the various tournaments we have. So, 5th Panzer Division, quite a stalwart division, lots of tanks, decent amount of infantry. So I'll just run through the deck, and I'll try and explain why certain things are taken as we go. I don't want the video to be too long. Hopefully you're all coming to the tournament today, or you've been watching it anyway. So, first command, because there's 3 of them, that's the reason I take this one. I want as many as possible for when they inevitably get sniped. Then I've got a single Unimog card and 2 cards of the Mancat, because you want a lot of supply in 1v1s. The worst thing you can do is run out of supply, because it's a big thing about trading. And I get it very wrong sometimes, and I will be posting a game later next week, which is my 3rd proper ranked game, where it just went horribly wrong. I won, but I had a very bad kill to death ratio. I was just throwing stuff away. So one of the reasons you should have lots of supply is to make sure that doesn't happen. Of course, you've got to remember to bring it in. Moving on to infantry. So I've got the Milan 2 here because I always like to have something long range, an ATGM that can go in buildings or the forest, and it's just scary. People will try to avoid pushing that a lot of the time, especially if you have a few of them. Panzer Grenadiers in a Unimog, just for fast response, and the same again. Nice fast response time because they're in a truck. They're faster than the M113, and you know, they're a decent squad. They're your sort of line infantry. The Armbrust is for its very fast anti-tank capability, and again, they're a 10-man squad, so they have some staying power. And these guys are brought in a Fuchs Milan because the Fuchs Milan, obviously a reasonably good unit. It has a Milan, which is obviously very important. Again, harassment, scaring units away. And then you also have the machine gun on there if you do need to give a little bit of fire support. Feldjäger, because they are super cheap, and they have an MP5, which is very, very accurate. Obviously, they give their bonus, which is technically slightly broken, to other units. But the main thing is they're actually just a really good squad that can dish out a lot of firepower at close range, and they're very, very cheap. So for 10 points, you're getting quite a bit of firepower. Then we've got the Marder 103 Milan with some Panzer Grenadier Marders. Smaller squad when the infantry, but really we're wanting this for the Marder 103. You're wanting the Milan, you're wanting the firepower, you're wanting the autocannon, and we got 2 squads of those. And you'll notice that these guys are brought in as unranked, or just trained I should say, so basic rank. And again, this is because you're wanting them more for the Marder than anything else. You're wanting that firepower, because you're wanting that firepower when you push with your tanks. Artillery, a little bit of choice here, so the reason I have so many mortars is because I've been assured by Lathans that mortar play is ridiculously good right now. So you can just spam mortars. Never rearm them, just buy new ones. It's not worth rearming them, you just buy new ones. The Tampellas, you spread them out and you just lay waste, you just keep firing at areas. And then even if they get counter-batteried, you're maybe only going to lose 1. And you can just ignore them for the most part. The Panzer Morse are the ones you'll move around and be a bit more active with. And then the Mars, because it hits quite hard over an area, and on certain 1v1 maps people do clump up a lot, like when they get into a town or a forest area, so they come in handy. Tanks is obviously where it's at for the 5th Panzer Division. We've got the Leo 185 command tank ×2, and I asked Lathans why he wouldn't take the Leo 2, and I honestly can't remember what he said. However, basically you want as many commands as possible as ever, and you've not got any more in the infantry side of this deck, so you've got 3 in the logistics and you've got another 4 here, so that gives you 7 in total. The Leo 185 has a bit more staying power. You're not generally going to use it to fight with, and you know, laser guided bomber meta, if you bring in a Leo 2A3 command tank, that's what Lathan said, and it gets hit by the laser guided bomber, it's dead anyway, and you've just wasted 300 points. So that's why he says bring the Leo 185s more than the 2A3 command. There you go. Then we've got the Leo 2A3. I've got 4 cards of those, ranked up to veteran. You want ranked up tanks, really. That, you know, it really helps with them not getting stressed out quite as quickly. Going to elite is a bit much. Then you've got the Leo 1A5, which is just not ranked up. This is your, not necessarily cannon fodder, but your harassment. You can bring in lots of them at a time. The Leo 1A1A1 is the same, and the M48 is the same. These are your tanks you bring in a clump to support pushes with a Leo. So he phrased it as you would bring in maybe a couple of 1A5s and a Leo 2A3 and push them all together and hope that the Leos absorb a bit of damage but are also dishing out a lot of damage. Or the Leo 2A3 is absorbing damage. One of the two. But the point is, firepower, firepower, firepower. And these things can fire on the move. So, you know, their in-motion accuracy is 50%. In-motion accuracy 62% for the 2A3. And even the Leo 1A1A1 has a reasonable in-motion accuracy. Not as good, but, you know, it all helps. And the M48 is very good in forest, very good in towns. Up close, personal, do a lot of damage because they are still kinetic, remember. They still get a damage bonus the closer they are to the enemy. So even versus big tanks, they can do a lot of damage. Recon, we've got the Lux in there. I mean, it's a good little unit. It's very fast. It's good at harassment. You'll see people in ranked in the tournaments and things use them to harass behind enemy lines. I think you saw Razman bring some in one of the tournament games where he put them right round the back of the map to kill artillery. Fernsphere, because they have ground surveillance radar, basically. If you've got the option to take ground surveillance radar, it's worth taking them. Obviously, they're also forward deploy, which is a nice bonus. Then we've got the Jäger Aufkel, which are just a very good squad. They're still an 11-man squad, plenty of firepower. They can be used as line infantry with your other troops. It's one of their advantages. They are a strong unit. And then the Alouette, just because you want that fast response recon that can hover over and provide a bit of support. Obviously, helicopters go down quite quickly now, do bear that in mind. In the anti-air tab, we have Fliegerforce, because although they're not the best man-pad in the game, they are great at harassment, they scare people off. You know, if you see a bunch of missiles coming towards your air unit, you're not going to hang around, you're going to get it out of there. And the Fliegerforce, if they do hit, still do 4 damage. So, you know, man-pads are pretty decent still. Then we've got the Roland 2 in here, because I don't like to babysit. And this will just do its thing without me babysitting it. It's obviously got a good range against helicopters, not terrible against aircraft. The Roland 3, obviously, a bit more babysitting. I think Lathans maybe takes this, I can't remember. Obviously, good range, but obviously you have to babysit it, turn it on and off. And I have taken the Gepard, which you do have to babysit, but it is very effective against choppers, obviously. It's pretty effective against aircraft, especially stressing them out. And you can use it against ground units. Don't forget that. It will tear apart infantry pushing across open ground. So it has a multitude of uses. Helicopters, the Apache rockets. Just 2 Apache rockets. The other ones, I mean, you could if you really wanted. The Hot 2 is a good missile, but overall the Apaches are just a better option. How that plays in the new meta, now that helicopters take more damage, is up for debate. I still think they're obviously the better choice because they've got 10 health, where these guys only have 4, so they're a one-hit kill in any situation. At least these guys take a hit, even from the heaviest damage missiles. And then you got the F4F anti-air, the F4F AT, and the Tornado IDS MW1. I was umming and ahhing between the HE bombers and the MW1. As I've advised, the MW1 is the better choice by the Lathans, and I thought I'll have a play with it. It used to be very, very good, and then everyone kind of moved away from using it a bit. Obviously, you're relying on your tanks and your AT jets to take out enemy vehicles. This is mostly to kill infantry that's clumped together. But you don't want to be relying too much on this deck on aircraft, because the reality is you are a very stalwart ground force with your tanks and infantry. So the aircraft are there to supplement that rather than to provide any pushing force, hence why you don't end up taking the seed. Not that the F-16 seed is the best seed anyway. But there you go, that's the deck. Logistics, plenty of supply. Infantry, a good mix of line infantry, basically. The Pioneer Flams, the Hand Flam Patron, is nowhere near as good as the other options now. There was a time the Hand Flam Patron was pretty good, but I would avoid it now. I don't think it's worth taking. Your Feldjäger can kind of provide up-close damage. And these guys used to be also good, not just because of the Hand Flam Patron, but also because of the gun they got, the little submachine gun. That's not very good anymore either. So give those guys a miss. But that's why, you know, mainly line infantry, and you're going to rely on fire support from Marders and tanks to keep them pushing forward. Artillery, mostly mortars and a Mars. Tanks are spread as you would expect. Recon, you could probably mix this up a bit if you really want. I was umming and ahhing over the Alouette, but it does come in handy for fast reaction and spotting at the sides of the map and stuff. Anti-air, I like the Roland 2. You might prefer to take the Roland 3 if you're willing to babysit it. Apache, still my personal choice, as I say. And then at the end there, you're just taking something that can help control the air to some extent. You've not got the best anti-air aircraft, and then everything else is just to support your other forces. And there we have it. A 5th Panzer Division 1v1 deck, and I will try and play some games in Ranked in the coming weeks with this deck to see how it performs. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please do like, share, subscribe. Do check out the tournament that's on this weekend over on the SD Elite Twitch channel. And I'll see you all soon.